Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. I am calling to order the meeting of the House Congressional and Legislative Redistricting and Reapportionment Committee. Thank you all for being here. As you know from the meeting announcement, we are going to be considering House Bill 2EX and House Bill 5EX, which are the congressional proposals of the Democratic Party and the proposal that I am going to be submitting. So at this time, I will call upon Leader Beverly to come and present his map to you. Actually, before we get started, let me just let you know, committee members, that you do have in front of you the Georgia House Democratic Caucus map packet. You also have the joint map packet of the majority party from the House and the Senate. And then, of course, our guidelines and our rules. And if I will give you a moment there to sort through and locate Leader Beverly's proposed map. Okay, Leader Beverly's is the one that is labeled in the upper right-hand corner, HD 143.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the committee members, thank you for the honor of presenting House Bill 5EX with LC number 471149. And to the public, thank you all for being here as well. I am here to present House Bill 5EX, again, LC number 47119, which is the Georgia House and Senate Democratic Caucus's joint proposed congressional map. It incorporates the map with the plan name GHDC-GSDC-CONG Plan 1. Our map, which was developed with careful consideration and input from stakeholders, demonstrates the Democratic Party's commitment to a fair, transparent, and inclusive redistricting effort. Our map incorporates feedback from both the GHDC statewide listening tour and the Reapportionment Committee's hearings that took place over this summer. Our map also reflects Georgia's diverse population and changing population trends within the state. And perhaps most importantly, our map takes seriously the redistricting guidelines that this committee adopted on August 30th of this year. Those guidelines require that all maps comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. This provision prohibits all forms of racial discrimination in voting and ensures racial fairness in the redistricting process. This is an obligation that we took very seriously. Our map preserves existing majority-minority districts while adding 2 new minority opportunity districts, the 7th and the 10th, consistent with the tremendous growth in Georgia's diverse population and growth over the last decade. Now let's turn to the specifics of the districts that we have in our map, in our plan. And I'll walk through each one of them. District 1. District 1, this district retains the core of the existing coastal district, maintaining 12 whole counties from the existing district. Because District 8 is the second most underpopulated existing district, it moves east to pick up an additional population currently in District 1 and causes District 1 to pick up an additional counties northwest of the existing district. And we did that to equalize population. The proposed district is comprised of 18 whole counties and a portion of Candler County. That's District 1. District 2, the existing district, is a majority Black district. It also is the most underpopulated district in the state. Our proposal maintains the core of the existing district. It makes small changes to portions of Bibb, Go Bibb County, I'm actually from Bibb County. That's why I said that. Okay, go Bibb County and Muskogee counties that are already in the district, and adds portions of Houston and Thomas counties. And we did this to, again, equalize population. District 2 remains a majority Black district in our proposal. District 3, our proposal maintains the core of this West Georgia district that stretches from Columbus to Southwest Atlanta, to the Southwest Atlanta suburbs. The district contains 9 of the 10 whole counties contained in the existing district. Metro Atlanta drove, as you know, the majority of Georgia's growth over the last decade. And the plan moves the 10th district into Metro Atlanta to reflect this growth. As a result, this district shifts and adds some of Haralson and Paulding counties and a portion of Polk County to equalize, again, population. District 4. The core of the existing district is maintained in DeKalb County, DeKalb, Rockdale, Newton, and Gwinnett, while adding the rest of Newton County so it is no longer split between 2 congressional districts and a portion of Henry County. In our proposal, Henry County is only split between 2 districts instead of the 3 in the existing plan. District 4, again, remains a majority Black district in our proposal. District 5. District 5 maintains its core in Fulton and DeKalb counties and unifies the city of Atlanta with a single district, also including the Atlanta Airport, which is located in both Fulton and Clayton counties. The district remains a majority Black district based on citizen voting age population. Now for District 6. District 6 is the closest to the ideal population figure in the existing map, being only 657 people too large. That's 657 people too large. So our proposal makes only minimal changes to District 6. The proposed district unifies Sandy Springs within this district by adding the portions that were not previously in the district, and slight changes were made to Cobb and DeKalb borders to equalize, again, population. This district would continue to be one of the most competitive districts in our state under our proposal. District 7. District 7 was the most overpopulated in the state. The proposed district moves out of Forsyth County and is wholly contained within Gwinnett County. In our proposal, Forsyth County is unsplit and wholly contained within the 11th district. And Gwinnett County is only split between 2 districts instead of 3 as it is in the existing map. This is a majority minority district. District 8. This district maintains the core of the existing district with 19 of the whole counties in the existing district contained within the proposed district. Because this district is the second most underpopulated existing district, it shifts east, adding the rest of Lowndes County, all of Eccles, Clinch, Ware, Coffee, and Jeff Davis, and also Wheeler counties and parts of Lawrence County, which is currently within the 1st and 12th district. Portions of the existing 8th district in Thomas and Houston counties are in the proposed 2nd district. We did this to equalize population. District 9. Given the shift in District 3 that I mentioned just a few moments ago and the resulting geographic growth of District 14 to equalize population, this Northeast Georgia district shifts south to pick up portions of the existing 10th. The proposed district contains 7 whole counties from the existing 9th district and 11 whole counties from the existing 10th. The proposed district unifies Clark County within a single district and unifies the Metro Athens area with a single district. The existing district has 2 split counties, as does the existing district. District 10. Reflecting the reality that the majority of Georgians' population growth over the last decade occurred within Metro Atlanta, God bless you. Our proposal moves the 10th district from East Georgia to West Metro Atlanta. The district includes portions of Cobb, Douglas, and Fulton counties. This district is a majority minority district with a Black voting age population of around 43%. The proposed plan only splits Cobb County between 2 districts instead of 3. And in the proposal that you'll hear after mine, Cobb is split into 4 ways. Our plan does it, splits Cobb into. District 11, the proposed district map maintains its Bartow and Cherokee County core. As a result, the proposed 10th district, this district no longer contains portions of Cobb and Fulton County and moves east to pick up all of Forsyth County and portions of Hall County to, again, equalize population. The proposed district also unifies most of the Lake Lanier region of Forsyth and Hall counties. District 12. District 12, due to shifts in the 8th to equalize population on our map and the resulting shift in the 1st and the slightly underpopulated 12th, this district moves north. Let me say this district on our map contains most of the eastern Black Belt counties, including Hancock, Warren, Washington, and Jefferson. Now, for those who don't know what Black Belt counties are, it's a stretch of counties that go from basically Augusta to Columbus, high Black population. And really historically is pretty interesting is that it was based on manual labor and agriculture. And so those counties from Augusta to Columbus, we refer to as Black Belt counties for those reasons. District 13. The core of the proposed district counties to be in South Metro Atlanta and continues to contain portions of Douglas, Fulton, Fayette, and Henry County. The district moves further south to pick up the fast-growing minority populations in Fayette, Spalding, and Henry counties. Also, by picking up more of Henry County, that county is only split between 2 districts instead of 3 that currently exist. And almost all of Clayton County is unified within this district. This district remains a majority Black district. And lastly, District 14. This Northwest Georgia district contains 8 of the 11 whole counties in the existing district, unifies Pickens County and unifies the North Georgia Mountain counties more broadly within the proposed district. In conclusion, our plan preserves existing minority majority districts while adding 2 minority opportunity districts, the 10th and the 7th. It also preserves a highly competitive toss-up district and reflects the overall balance of the state's election results in recent years. Across the state, our map ensures that Georgia's growing diverse population has a fair opportunity to elect candidates of their choice, reflects the movement of Georgians to urban areas, and reflects that Metro Atlanta is responsible for the majority of Georgia's growth over the last decade. We also heard Georgians demanding a transparent process with opportunity for public input. And that's what we did. We had our congressional plan posted on the Reapportionment Office's website almost a month ago, giving the public plenty of time to analyze it and provide feedback. At the end of the day, we think our map is the best map for Georgia because it reflects the fair process that Georgians demanded and the fair results that Georgians deserve. Thank you, Madam Chair. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Leader Beverly. I do not see any questions here I do see one, Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to Leader Beverly, does the map comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act?
Absolutely. Thank you, Representative Scott. Absolutely. The Georgia House Democratic Caucus retained legal counsel and commissioned a racial block voting analysis. And we talked about that when we presented our map, and we certainly did this with the congressional map as well. So yes, we comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And thank you for your question.
Okay, and how many voting precincts does your map split?
We split 21 precincts, and I think the current map split 64. And so 21 precincts we split. And again, I think this existing map splits about 64 precincts.
Okay, so how did you determine what the communities of interest are on the map?
All right, so we listen to the public, and you guys by now know. I guess some of you know Brian Sells. I'm going to let Brian say something about the communities of interest. Representative Scott, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, and Brian, you can introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian Sells, counsel to the Georgia House Democratic Caucus. And I'll repeat a little bit what I said at the introduction of that House map, but communities of interest are often hard to define, and the way you learn about them is by talking to people on the ground. That's what the Georgia House Democratic Caucus did by traveling the state and holding its own town halls in areas that the Joint Reapportionment Committee didn't travel to. So in addition to the feedback that the Joint Reapportionment Committee received, the Georgia House Democratic Caucus also received additional feedback at those town halls, and we incorporated those that feedback as much as possible into this map.
Thank you. Next, we have Representative Prince.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Leader Beverly, you did mention that this has been posted at least about a month. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. That's my.
Thank you. We have a question from Representative Gilliard. Oh.
Madam Chair. Let me ask this, Leader Beverly. I think this is an excellent opportunity to give this answer. Did it keep the core of the district for the existing voters, existing district that was in place before?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. I mean, the chair of this committee had, and as you guys know, y'all set out guidelines about how to draw maps, and as we thought about how to do that, that is the core principle of what we did, is to make sure that the core competency, the cores of districts were held together, and our map absolutely reflects that. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. And that appears to be all of the questions that the committee has. Thank you very much, Leader Beverly. We are going to have public commentary at the end. I'll present the map that I'll be carrying next.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you all very much. The map that I will be working from is, committee members, in your packet titled Client S018 Type Congress, but the client is S018. And Gina Wright, the executive director of our reapportionment office, is going to be helping us by pointing out the districts on the map on the easel there as I walk through them later. Oh, she has a laser pointer. Okay. As you all know from previous hearings, this process has been going on since the early summer, where we had public hearings. We had committee education day. We had some committee meetings, preliminary ones, in order to adopt our committee rules and guidelines. We have had ongoing opportunities for public comment, both in person and virtually, as well as written commentary online. And committee members, you have in front of you a printout of the additional written comments that we have received since the last time that I provided those to you in writing. So you should be able to continue to keep a full notebook of those comments that are coming in. So we have followed that same process for these congressional maps that we did for our state House and our state Senate maps. The Senate released a congressional district draft back in September the 27th, that has been posted on the website for the Reapportionment Committee since that time. And we have received public commentary on that map as it exists. We also have received commentary on the Democratic congressional plan that was released on October the 21st. So we have taken into account all of that commentary in this proposal that you have in front of you today. This congressional map represents Georgians fairly, and it is a map that we are proud of. It is not gerrymandered, but it does respect the principles that we adopted at the beginning of this process, those committee guidelines, as well as, of course, the law. So we are going to have this first hearing today where we I explain the map to you and we listen to your comments. And I recognize that you may go home and realize that you wanted to say something else. So we're going to have another hearing tomorrow. And I have another hearing scheduled as well for Friday. I understand that the Senate held its first hearing earlier today and that they have scheduled another hearing for tomorrow as well. So we are going to take time to listen. We're going to move through this process slowly, but of course deliberately, because we do have deadlines that we have to meet in order for our local districts to implement, or our elections boards to implement these changes. So that being said, we can start to work through the map. And what I will do is take them by region. So it's not going to be in numeric order, but I think it will make sense as we move across the state. I'm going to start in the southwestern corner at the bottom there. That's district number 2. This district was our least populated district, as Leader Beverly said. That district needed 92,108 people. And let me also just stop there to comment and make sure that you understand the difference in these congressional maps is that we have to zero them out. So they have to be plus or minus 1 person. And that's an extra feat that our redistricting office, our reapportionment office, they have to perform. This is a Voting Rights Act district, and it is largely the same as what is proposed in Leader Beverly's map, with the exception that we actually kept Thomas County whole. So that county we were able to keep whole. If you move east across the state to district number 8, that district was down by over 45,000 people. So we added Clinch and Eccles counties on the edge there, the eastern edge, to gain population that was necessary for that district while maintaining its district core. If you continue to move east to district number 1, this district needed about 9,300 people. So it stayed largely the same. We preserved the core district there, but we just made some minor changes to apportion the population, especially since we had to take a little bit from that district in order to make district number 8 whole. If you move up north of there to district number 12, this district was underpopulated quite significantly as well. They needed over 26,000 people in order to make it whole. So the loss of population in this district and the others to the south that we just discussed pushed it up north into what is currently the southeastern portion of the 10th district, including Johnson, Washington, Jefferson, Glasscock, Warren, McDuffie, and Lincoln counties. We also made Columbia County whole again under this proposal. If you continue to move to the north, to district number 10. This district was underpopulated by about 9,900 people. I think it was overpopulated. I don't know if I said under or over. It was overpopulated by about 9,900 people. Some of that extra population did go to the 12th. In order to keep the cores of districts 12 and 10 largely the same, District 10 pushed north into Elbert, Madison, and Jackson counties. We do contrast this with the map that Leader Beverly proposed, which disregarded the core of District 10 and moved it clearly from the eastern side of the state all the way over to the western side, the other side of the metropolitan Atlanta area. If you continue to move to the west to district number 3, you will see that this district was just underpopulated slightly by about 2,000 people. This district is largely the same as what the Democratic Caucus is also proposing, just some minor shifts for the population change. If you move north from there to district number 4, this is a Voting Rights Act protected district. It was overpopulated by about 8,600 people. It is largely unchanged as well. We preserved the district core there. And the contrast here with the Democratic proposed map is that the Democratic proposed map moved it into Gwinnett and Henry counties. Next, we are going to talk about district number 5, which is slightly to the west of district number 4. This was a very overpopulated district. They had approximately 22,900 extra people there. It is also a Voting Rights Act protected district. It's majority minority. We maintained the district core here and just moved the boundaries inward to accommodate for the population growth, which is what we also did with District 13 right below it. This is also, District 13 is another Voting Rights Act protected district. If you move up to the north to district number 14, this district was down population of approximately 36,500 people. Here we maintained the core of this district, but we needed to gain population there. So geographically, it moved to the south and toward the east where we had some population growth. If you move a little bit further to the east there to district number 11, this district was overpopulated by approximately 37,300 people. We responded to the overwhelming cry of the public here at our public hearings with respect to Pickens County, and we made Pickens County whole. A significant portion of the growth in this district and in our state as a whole was in Cherokee County. So we had to split Cherokee with a portion of it moving into the 6th. The 6th district, the core of this district is North Metro, a North metropolitan area. We had large population growth in the 7th and in Cherokee County. And in order to keep the communities of interest in the 6th and the 7th together, this district moved further north into Cherokee, Forsyth, and Dawson counties. And this is the same shift that you see across the entire map, with the population loss in the south, resulting in those districts needing to push up to the north. District number 7 was overpopulated by 94,300 people. This is a newly created minority opportunity district. It is majority non-white. In order to maintain the core of this district in Gwinnett County, it also pulled in, similar to the 5 and the 13th, the 5th and the 13th, to include most of Gwinnett County. If you move north from there to the last district, this is district number 9. This district was overpopulated by approximately 10,200 people. We were able to maintain the core of this district, though, and protect the communities of interest there in this northeastern part of our state, as opposed to the Democratic proposed map, which ran that district fully from the western border to the eastern border, combining two distinct communities there. We heard from constituents in these communities regarding the geography, namely the mountain range, and the infrastructure, the lack of a major thoroughfares east to west that make it impractical to travel those roads in an east to west fashion, and making their case that they needed to maintain their districts on the western and eastern borders. But the Democrat map ignores those communities of interest, and we were respecting those and keeping them together. So this is a map that we do feel good about. It complies with the law, the Constitution, to a zero deviation, and I give all the credit to that to our reapportionment director, Gina Wright. It complies with the Voting Rights Act, with several majority-minority districts and minority opportunity districts in the plan. It also respects county boundaries. Our current plan that we are operating under today splits 16 counties, and this plan splits 15. In contrast, the Democratic Party's proposed plan splits 18 counties. While some precinct splitting is inevitable due to the requirement that we reach a zero deviation, we did split as few precincts as possible, and tried to find logical places to divide counties. So our map respects our communities of interest, recognizing, of course, that these are very large districts and often have to take in a lot of territory. But we have our traditional districts that we have maintained the cores for. Finally, incumbents in their districts for Congress, they don't have to live in their districts, but every incumbent member of Congress that we have from Georgia does have a district to run in. So with that, I would welcome any questions from the committee or from the public. Okay, Representative Scott.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Did you perform or cause a racial bloc voting analysis to be conducted? And if so, who conducted the racial bloc voting analysis? And what were the findings of the racial bloc voting analysis?
We did conduct a racial polarization analysis, and I have a hard time remembering that political science professor's name. He is from the University of Texas school. We have made that public, though. I think it's on the record in the Senate, and I'm sorry that I have a mental block on his name, but it did find that there is racially polarized voting in the state of Georgia. We conducted that analysis on a statewide and countywide basis.
Okay, and how did you determine how many majority-minority districts were required to be drawn to comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act?
Well, that is based upon the areas of the state, the specific areas of the state. There's not a magic formula or standard or equation, but where we find that there are areas where we can draw the voting rights districts, then we do that.
Okay, this is my last one. District 6 is currently represented by an African-American woman. It's diverse and the most competitive district in the existing map. Why did you choose to make the district whiter and uncompetitive? Example, Blacks, Hispanic, and Asian population all decrease, while the white population increased from 58% to 67%.
So we did not make any decisions based upon the individual who holds any seat. I want to make that clear. We drew our maps based upon the population shifts. We had incredible population growth in Cherokee County and in Gwinnett County. And in order to take into account that population growth, we had to move the districts. It had nothing to do with individuals who are holding those offices. And I've heard that commentary, and I want to put that to rest right away. So thank you for the opportunity to do that. All right. I don't see any other questions from the committee. Oh, I do have a question. Representative Alexander is participating via Zoom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is centered around, well, I know there was a lot of comparison and contrast as it relates to the minority map, but there appears to be several counties with significant minority population unnecessarily split into multiple districts. The example I want to use is that Cobb is split between 4 districts, Gwinnett is split between 3 districts, and then Henry is split between 3 districts.
I'm sorry, what is your question?
I guess what I'm asking you is there a reason why there are so many split within the multiple districts? And it appears that the majority of those districts are pretty much majority white, where they're split.
The ones that are split are majority white?
The ones that are split are Cobb, Gwinnett, and Henry. It appears that those 3 districts are split either 4 ways or 3 ways. What is the reason for that?
Those counties happen to be in the metropolitan Atlanta area where we have dense population, and inevitably that is where we're going to have to see more of the splits, whereas in the counties that have less population, we're able to avoid those. But it has nothing to do, except for when we had to draw voting rights districts. That's the only time that we would take into account the demographics of the population.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Scott?
Okay, how many districts in the proposed plan allow minority voters the opportunity to elect their candidates of choice?
I think what you might be asking is how many districts did we determine we needed to draw so that under the Voting Rights Act, and I think we have 4. We have districts 2, 4, 5, and 7 are voting rights protected districts, and then also 2, 4, 5, 7, 2, 4, 5, and 13. And then 7 is our newly created minority opportunity district.
Okay.
All right, I have another question from Representative Prince.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, I was looking at the public comments, and I see you have it up to the 17th, which is like today. What was the cutoff on before you drew your map and had it out, published it? What was the cutoff date? Because I see we got it through the 17th.
Right. Well, there's not necessarily a cutoff date. In fact, we're continuing to take written commentary. You'll see, I mean, we have over, I think, 1,000 comments now, and at some point they do start to become repetitive. But we will continue to take them and review them throughout the process.
Okay, so is it possible that based on your answer there, that the commit, if something comes up or there's something in here that's come in since you published this, that we could possibly adjust if it's something that's empirical data here?
Well, absolutely. If there's
Okay,
something compelling that we had not
Yeah.
thought of or considered, then yes.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you have do you still? Okay. All right, Chairman Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In comparing the maps, one of the things I am grateful for, my county, my home county in our map is kept whole. And that is a community of interest. And I noticed there were several other rural communities in the Democratic map that were split. And having family and friends in these other communities, I am grateful that we were able to keep counties whole. I think it makes a difference. They are communities of interest, particularly in our rural communities. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Chairman Taylor. All right, we have some individuals who have signed up to speak, and I will take you in the order in which you signed up. First, we have Maggie Goldman, And she will be followed by Mary Lou Mccleskey. All right, and let me just mention, we're going to ask people, since we have so many days of public commentary, we're going to ask if you can keep your remarks to 3 minutes.
Okay, I should
Okay.
be able to do that.
All right, thank you.
I found it interesting that you made a point to indicate which districts had gained or needed to lose residents. You seem to have glossed over that number for US 6. So I'm in the Congressional District 6. I'm a resident in Johns Creek. You seem to have glossed over the fact that it only needed to lose, I believe, like 650 voters. So you didn't maintain the core of that district at all, while you consistently tried to maintain the core of several other districts. Just thought that was extremely relevant to point out before I go into my remarks. So North Fulton was fully part of US 6, and we would like it to stay that way. North Fulton cities share many similar issues that having one singular congressional representative makes the most sense. One of the most important is transportation issues, and it impacts and affects all of North Fulton. It also makes much more sense for the Georgia legislature's Fulton delegations and North Fulton city officials to work with one US rep when concerning regional planning. There is no regional planning between Dawson County and Fulton County, which is now proposed to be part of US 6. Splitting up North Fulton's representation diminishes our ability to advocate for North Fulton issues. In your first map, you had cut out about 5 Johns Creek precincts out of the 6th district. We were not happy to have Johns Creek split, and we would prefer to stay together as a community of interest in the 6th district with the rest of our North Fulton community. Instead of simply adjusting the current US 6 by the 650 voters that were needed to meet the current population number, you literally took 270,000 voters out of the current US 6 and moved a random collection of other 270 voters into US 6 for no good reason and not to meet any community of interest need. This new map, from which I can tell was only released a few hours ago, pretty much cuts Johns Creek out of US 6 and out of the North Fulton community of interest. The residents of North Fulton, and specifically Johns Creek, have not had an opportunity to weigh in on these maps. We need more time. In addition, you have chosen to simply remove more of the original US 6 voters than the original 270. It added more. So this new map is worse than the original map, where you just basically redrew US 6, while you intentionally kept the core of just about every other district. Keeping North Fulton whole is greatly more important for local issues than adding Dawson and Forsyth to US 6. How does Dawson or even Forsyth have anything in common with Sandy Springs? Absolutely nothing, except creating a mostly white Republican majority district. US 6 will flip from a competitive seat to a Trump plus 15 district. The intent here is blatantly obvious. This map also packs diverse residents into US 7, reducing their ability to have an impact on a variety of districts as they are right now. A large Asian community in Johns Creek is being added to US 7, which will dilute their representation as they join a large diverse coalition in US 7. I was at the Cummings redistricting meeting. I heard the pleas for keeping counties and communities of interest together. You can keep Forsyth and Dawson whole without having to add them to US 6. I'm asking you to keep North Fulton cities together so that we can share one US congressional representative and help us best advocate for issues that impact North Fulton. I think it's touching that you like that your communities of interest in rural Georgia.
I need you to wrap up. You're over your time.
That's fine. If you care so much about the rural communities of interest and you don't care about North Fulton, there's a real problem with that.
Thank you. Mary Lou Mccleskey, and yes, you can speak from the podium, followed by Ken Lawler.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Lou Mccleskey, I am happy to be able to speak to you today, to my respected committee members. I have been a resident of Briarcliff Woods East, a community in unincorporated DeKalb County since 1984. I have been a voter in the 6th district for many years now, though my districts have changed with each recycling cycle. I am speaking today to express my concern with the Georgia legislature's draft congressional map. I find serious flaws in both the contents of the map and the process of its creation. The proposed map removes my community from the 6th congressional district and into the 4th. I am concerned by this map, which appears to give less representation now to minority voters by packing them into the 4th, while cracking minority voters into the 6th district and adding a large number of mostly white voters into a district that with a representative that we have right now, whom we know and respect. We also don't like the fact that the criteria for these changes are unknown. Because the redistricting committee has not been, the committees have not been transparent, we are left to assume that the purpose of this district change is to create one more red district in a state that's clearly growing more purple, and or to pit outstanding female representative against someone else when there is a dire need for representation by both women and people of color in our US Congress. It's unnecessary to redraw the 6th and the 7th the way it's been done. And it's neither necessary in order to take into account census changes in Georgia or to assure minority opportunity for representation. They both already exist in those districts. My community believes that redistricting should be fair and transparent and should respect voters' wishes. We had no way to anticipate these changes and provide our input during the public hearings, which you're so pleased to have thousands of contributions to, yet we had no maps that we were be able to talk about, nor did we have census data to make maps from. We fear that you will not have time to listen to or to act on our recommendations now between this meeting and whenever you vote. We do not think it's fair that one party's political priorities should determine our districts. We ask that you please slow down, revise this map to make it fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms.
Any
McCleskey.
questions?
Are you with Fair Districts, Georgia?
I am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Ken Lawler, also of Fair Districts, Georgia. And following him, we will have Cindy Battles here for the People's Agenda.
I'm Ken Lawler with Fair Districts, Georgia. I happen to be the chair of the group. You've heard from us throughout this process, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak again today. This committee promised the public a fair and transparent process. The release of a draft congressional map on September 27th was a step in the right direction because we had time to study that map, as well as the map from the Democratic Caucus on the 21st. But releasing a map just hours before today's hearing is a giant step backwards. So we don't appreciate that. Nonetheless, we're going to give you our best shot at having analyzed this map and give you our best view of what it looks like, the new map today. And I will also be speaking to the map that was proposed by Leader Beverly. This analysis is produced jointly by Fair Districts Georgia and the Princeton Gerrymandering Project. At this point, you're pretty familiar with how we do these million map simulations, so I won't bother you with the details of that, other than to say we look at partisan balance, competitiveness, and minority representation. But before we look at those results, I wanted to just provide a little bit of perspective, right? Over the last, our benchmarks show that the partisan gap in Georgia should have narrowed over the last 10 years. And that's reflected in the congressional election results, where we have arrived at an 8 Republican, 6 Democratic delegation today. We think that fairly represents where Georgia has arrived. So with that, let me give you my analysis of the two maps. Both the Senate and the Democratic caucus maps really lean too far in their relative directions. We don't think either one of them really represents fairness. You have a 9-5 map proposed by the latest map from today. The Democratic map proposes a 7-7 split. We don't think either one of those is the correct answer. The single best score of a map would be 8 Republican districts and 6 Democratic districts. Specific on the proposal, the committee proposal from today has no competitive districts. We see more packing of Democratic voters across the state, whereas Republican voters are more efficiently distributed. Our projections indicate there will be many more lopsided wins, and that's why this map is going to score low. The major change obviously is to the 6th district, where we had 650 some people over, but 270,000 people in the September version of the map were moved, and a lot more today. We haven't analyzed that yet since we just had the map for a few hours. On the Democratic side, there is one competitive district in Leader Beverly's proposed map, which is better. The voters are more evenly distributed inside the districts. The major change there, obviously, is repurposing the 10th district to try to construct a new Democratic district out of the 10th. We think both of those major changes really are not appropriate. In terms of minority representation, our current map that we live under today has 9 districts in which minorities have a chance to elect a candidate of their choice. What we see in these two maps is that the proposed map from this morning has only 8 such districts, which is actually 1 fewer than the map that we had from the 27th of September, whereas the Democratic map has 10 such districts. Now I'll wrap up my comments, and I'll have a chance to, I have some more stuff to talk about tomorrow. Overall grades, the Princeton gerrymandering score gives the Senate, the committee proposal a C. It gives the Democratic proposal a B. We're hoping for an A. We know that A maps can be built, and I'll talk tomorrow about how some work we've done with citizen mapping demonstrates that can be done with even fewer county splits. But I'll stop my comments there for today, and we'll have more to say tomorrow when we've analyzed them that further. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lawler. All right, next we have, I don't see any questions, I'm sorry. Next we have Cindy Battles, followed by Stephanie Ali with the New Georgia Project.
What Molly is picking up for y'all is a Politico article on Professor Thomas Brunel, who, by the way, is the expert that you can't remember his name, and who is also the author of a book about how competitive elections are bad for America. My name is Cindy Battles, and I am the Policy and Engagement Director for the Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda. Gosh, you guys, I know it's a lot. I'm trying to get this away so there's not as much feedback, but can you still hear me? Mm-hmm. Great. The Georgia Unity maps that were previously distributed to the committees, linked to public comments and on the Joint Committee's website and published on the web at georgiaunitymaps.org, demonstrated that the legislature could have increased the number of congressional districts to more accurately reflect the increasing diversity of the state based upon the 2020 census. We gave you 2 different options. One would have created 8 majority minority districts, and one, if you were concerned about partisanship, would have created 7 majority minority districts so that it would be 50-50, especially giving Brunel's comments about polarization. Nevertheless, the joint congressional map chose not to draw congressional districts to give Georgians an equal opportunity to elect candidates of choice, and instead waited until the last minute to introduce a map which cracks and packs people of color to dilute their voting strength, in which racial concerns predominated the decision-making over the traditional districting principles, and demonstrates that Georgia's long and documented history of racial discrimination will continue to be present in these maps for the next decade. Some of the most egregious mapping decisions which dilute the voting strength of voters of color and racially gerrymander the districts to prevent voters of color from having an equal opportunity to elect candidates of choice include In drawing the 6th congressional district, the white percentage of population in that district was increased. The district in the joint congressional map goes from about 55% white by 2020 population to over 63% white with the additions of Cherokee, Forsyth, and Dawson counties. This makes it unlikely that voters of color will be able to continue to elect a candidate of choice in this district, such as Black Congresswoman Lucy McBath, who was previously the minority preferred candidate in this district. The 2nd congressional district in the southwest of the state, currently a majority minority district, needed to add over 90,000 people to be equal in population to the other seats. The necessary population was found in diverse Warner Robins. However, majority white Lee, Grady, Seminole, and Miller counties remain in the district, and majority white Thomas County was added. Crisp County, which is a majority minority county, was removed from the 2nd congressional district, and the majority Black counties east of Macon are also cracked between 8th, 9th, and 10th congressional districts. I'll wrap that up and continue tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Stephanie Ali with the New Georgia Project, followed by Vasu Abhiraman.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Ali, and I am the Policy Director for New Georgia Project Action Fund. And I am also a resident of the 6th district, which will become the 4th, just to put that out there. So I do want to say that I support what people have said about the timeframe of these maps, as well as the fact that people deserved more input time. And I thank you again for setting up at least 2 more committee hearings for this. I want to point out a couple of things in your presentation, Chairwoman Rich, which is, while I do appreciate the attempts that were made to not split counties with the exception of the metro districts, there are quite a lot of major cities, especially cities with high Black populations that are split here, including Macon and Houston, Macon-Bibb and Houston counties. Even in the VRA protected 2nd, it splits parts of those major cities to dilute even the strength of the 2nd district from what it is now. It may not be a giant percentage, but it is a whittling away of that population there. I also want to back up what Cindy just said about, and what previous speaker said about the idea of the 6th versus 7th district. I think people knew with the population gains in those areas that both were going to be overrepresented and would at least one of them was going to have to get cut. But I remember the discomfort that certain members of this committee felt on even mentioning race in previous discussions. So I will say that if you don't want to say it's about a Black woman versus a white woman, it is very clear that it is also about a woman who holds party line and who regularly votes in the way her constituents would ask versus a woman who has been well known in the past few weeks to at least hold up the infrastructure bill along with other popular things. So it is a very clear attempt to, if not get rid of a Black woman in Congress, at least to have someone who stays in who is more moderate and more kind of in line with what some people would like to see Georgia's future. The final thing I'll end on to is that while I respect that the party in power does not feel that the maps are gerrymandered, gerrymandering isn't about drawing weird bacon districts or lines across the county. It isn't about looking like North Carolina with like Horsehead Nebula kind of stuff going on. It can be more subtle. And in fact, it has been since 2010. In these previous hearings, there's been a lot of discussion about 2000, 2001, and what that looked like. But even studies from the Carl Vinson Institute at UGA, I will not be so presumptuous as to use Princeton because I know some people are getting all held up about the Yankees at Princeton talking about Georgia. So I'll use UGA. And as a triple dog, I love them. But they said that the Republicans in 2010 also drew maps to keep themselves in power while their vote share fell, which is exactly what's happening here. So I thank you for your time, respect you for making your committee so open. And I hope that there's some reconsideration of these maps, especially in respect to the 6th and 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have Vasu Abhiraman, followed by Kareem El Hosseini.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
sure.
Okay, now.
Thank you, Chair Rich and esteemed members of the committee. My name is Vasu Abhiraman, Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU of Georgia. We fight for the civil liberties of each and every Georgian. On that note, we've talked a lot about county splits, but I think the more relevant data might be who is affected by the county splits, like how many people are affected, how many live within counties that are split, and what are the demographics of those folks. We believe that the work that is done at the General Assembly should be about people and not about arbitrary political subdivisions or land. So let's stay focused on people if we can. And in that vein, what's happened to Cobb County is interesting in this map. Split 4 ways, and areas in South Cobb, Austell, Powder Springs are moved into Georgia 14. Concerned about some of those moves. I want to talk about colleges. Of course, it's easier to keep colleges whole with a fewer number of districts. We are concerned about how the border between the 4th and 5th is drawn with respect to Emory. We believe possibly more should be moved into the 5th district. We've also heard that this process needs to go at a certain speed so that county elections offices will have time to do the work that they need to do before the elections next year. I've spoken to a number of these officials and learned a lot more about that process. I believe most of them are going to wait to conduct that process of configuration for their voters till after regular session, because so much of the local redistricting that's needed for that process will happen in regular session. And the way it's been explained to me, that just makes more sense. So of course we have 159 counties. Maybe somebody, is willing to attest to the need to get this information now so that they can start on whatever their process is. But I believe I've done enough research to determine that the best practice is going to be to wait till after the regular session, which gives us more time here. And I would recommend that we use more time so that folks can deliver feedback on the actual proposal and that we can get some of these things right. I yield for any questions.
You don't have any questions. Thank you. All right. Next, we have Kareem El Hosseini, followed by Catherine Maddox.
Thank you, Chair Rich, for the opportunity to speak to the committee. My name is Kareem El Hosseini. I work with the Georgia chapter of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. We're the nation's largest Muslim civil rights organization. I am a resident of unincorporated DeKalb up near Lake Louise, the Estuary Apartments. The area that I live in is heavily minority. We were part of the 6th district, and we are currently part of the 6th district, but we are being taken out. And I was watching yesterday's morning order and how you were thanking Speaker Ralston for putting so many women in positions of leadership here in Georgia. And I think that's amazing. But then at the same time, the impact of this redistricting takes one of 2 women of color who represent Georgia at the federal level and makes one of their districts a heavily white district. And that might have not been the intent, but that's the impact. And so I would urge you to take the impact into consideration. The district didn't need to be changed that much, as many have said before me, and we can keep it more compact if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, next we have Catherine Maddox, followed by Marihay Kaustra, maybe.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Maddox, a community advocate for Protect the Vote GA. And I'm really grateful for all of the expert testimony on the maps so that I'm able to talk about what I understand a little bit better, which is the process around the maps, as well as the conversation around it. I was so inspired last night by students in Gwinnett who in a town hall meeting spoke truth to power about a recently tabled bill to redraw their election maps, among other things. Like Gwinnett's population, like the state of Georgia's, has grown to reflect the global majority. And like the population of Gwinnett, Georgia's entire population will also soon reflect the global majority. There is no law or map that can prevent this inevitability. As a democratic republic, that means that change is coming. And if you look around this room, that change is already at your doorstep. As for those unable to be in this room, when the practical matters of inclusion are brought up, they should be taken seriously and become part of that process. Going forward, I request that legislators take measures to ensure the opportunity for Zoom testimony at all meetings for people who do not have the ability or transportation to be present, and that you also take measures to ensure that a sign language interpreter is present and that interpreters for other languages be available, or that at the very least, recorded meetings have translations available. Civic engagement is crucial for our democracy, but legislators need to create spaces wherein constituents feel engaged. Town halls where we can speak but not ask questions are impractical. Maps without a breakdown of their implications are impractical. Meetings which are changed hours beforehand are impractical, especially if they are intended to be an opportunity for the public to have their say. Which brings me to the issue of time. In situations such as this, deadlines are constructed. If the experts are saying that this isn't quite right and the people are saying that they need more time to understand, then you need to slow down. If you truly want to save time, amend the state constitution to allow for a nonpartisan committee, as many other states have done, so Georgians don't run the risk of having their racial analysis of their maps done by so-called expert Thomas Burnell, who wrote the book on why competition is bad for America. Thank you, Cindy. How utterly flagrant. If you truly want to save time, spare us the redundant rhetoric such as legal voter or innocent protester, which are only meant to divide, and most importantly, are redundant. Please don't waste time making mistakes which will prevent people from being heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Marie Kylstra, followed by Stacy Hopkins.
Good afternoon, Chairman Rich and members of the committee. My name is Marika Kilstra. I'm a redistricting coordinator for Fair Count, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization focused on equity, access, and participation in our democracy. I've attended all the public hearings y'all have held across the state and every redistricting committee meeting and House and Senate floor session during special session. I come here today to once again speak out for transparency and public input in this process, a process that will define our lives and power for our communities for the next decade. Fair Count has spent the past 4 months collecting community of interest or COI maps from Georgians across the state and educating Georgians around redistricting. There are currently more than 400 community of interest maps available at representable.org, and 327 of which were created through Fair Count's work. The maps created are a living record of how Georgians, especially in rural communities of color, are asking to be seen and heard in this process. I've seen hundreds of people show up to meetings all across the state to have their voices heard. We've trained more than 1,000 people in redistricting and seen the 400 plus maps and the more than 700, or I guess it's more than 1,000 public comments now that have been submitted to y'all directly through the redistricting portal. The people of Georgia clearly care about this process and want to be involved, and the committee has failed them by once again choosing expediency over real public input and transparency. This process has been rushed. The maps released at 10 a.m. this morning will affect the resources and representation our communities receive for the next 10 years. The Senate and House committees have stated there will be a period for public input on these maps, but how can the public give input on something that was released just a few hours ago? We've put the maps up on Georgia Redistricting and You, a map developed in partnership with Lou Mccleskey from the City University of New York, but we haven't had time to be able to analyze them. How can we expect anyone else to be able to complete an analysis and give input in this time either? The fact that these maps were released today at 10 a.m. with public comment just hours later is to be expected in this process, one that has failed to be transparent and to take public input into full account to this point. The people of Georgia really care about this process. They want the results to be fair, and they deserve a real opportunity to give input that is heard and acted upon. The people of Georgia deserve better. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Telstra. Next, we have Stacy Hopkins. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Thank you, Chairman Rich and the rest of the committee for allowing me to speak. I spoke earlier in this process and I asked y'all to dazzle me. Unfortunately, it would be impossible to dazzle me because we're trying to make a system that is fundamentally broken work. I have sat here and watched for decades because I'm a woman of a certain age. So I've been to this rodeo before. We go through this every single time. And it is never going to be fair because how we are doing reapportionment is fundamentally flawed and wrong. There's a different way for us to do this that would take away all the problems of gerrymandering. However, we don't use it. We don't think about it. We continue to use this process over and over and over. And it's called proportional reapportionment. Now, in order to get that has to be willing, there has to be the legislative body willing to make a change to do this. Because as a citizen, as a Black person who lives in the 5th Congressional District, all I see is the bickering. I feel like a child who was caught in between a messy divorce between two parents, and it has got to stop. This turned the cracking, the packing, the partisan, creating districts where they're not competitive, where you have districts that are guaranteed Democratic or Democratic Republican. I have no dog in this race because I am an independent. I'm done with both of y'all. So I'm challenging y'all to think about a different way of doing this instead of going through this insanity every single year. There are reforms that can take this whole problem off the table. I realize how difficult it is to do this. I have tried the redistricting game. It is very, very difficult to create districts that meet all the criteria that everyone wants. I dare say it's impossible. Maybe the problem is we need to look in a different way as to how we do reapportionment instead of going through this insanity of trying to make this work every single year, and it doesn't. Somebody's going to not be happy at the end of the day. This is not how it should be. This is not, I should not live in a state where 30%, over 30% is Black, but we have mostly white representation. That automatically tells you something is wrong. So I'm begging all of you who sit on the state legislative body, and there might be a room for bipartisan on this if we actually leave all the partisan BS behind and look at the actual problem and be dedicated to fix it, because right now we're not doing that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes the public commentary for today. Let's see. We are scheduled to be in this room again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Is that correct? Okay. Oh, 12 p.m. We're going to be here at 12 p.m. Yes. So I welcome you all to come back and, of course, invite any other members of the public who would like to be heard. I really appreciate all of you who came today and gave us your fact and policy-based input and feedback. I respect this committee process, and I can tell that those of you who came with that in mind also do. So thank you very much for that, and I look forward to hearing from you tomorrow. Thank you. With that, we're adjourned. I have to say the magic word.